I'll keep an eye on that. I'll do my best. I'm trying. Wait, what? Who?
My gosh.
Wait, are you still on the phone?
You should.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Notice Jamie was gone?
Yeah, for context, this thing hasn't started quite yet. I'm just sort of setting up. I need to go live to actually edit the title. As far as I know, I'm not very good with technology. Yeah. But in the back, we got Eduardo Michael, whatever you want to call him, our sound boy. He's not our sound guy. He just kind of sits. But we brought one of his dogs, who's a big fan of the PugCast, and he's here. We have all hands on deck. We have a third dog with us. They're not here yet. I still gotta do all the stuff.
Good grief, it's like they know what a package of treats looks like.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're dogs. Of course they do. Oh, dude, you're at 11,000 subs. The big 1-1. Give me some of those. Dad, okay, so if we transferred all of your subscribers to my account, they'd unsubscribe so fast.
There's Mori just shivering up a storm.
Because the stuff we do is so drastically different.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Where's the remote?
Where's
Put
the
it
clicker?
on your lap.
That's funny. Just a Komodo dragon walking around. Can you yeet Jamie into that angle? Or can I, mess with that? Hey, Dad. Can I borrow your webcam in a sec and put Jamie on the stream? Oh, my gosh. Then, okay. I'm going to title this one Third Pug with a question mark. It's clickbait. It's good clickbait. You see, you need a little clickbait to get people invested, you know? You ever hear that?
Third pug right here.
Yeah, there's our third pug. What an adventure. Oh yeah, come up with a new message, Micah. No, I don't want to do your Google Plus. I just want to go to your YouTube thing. I just want to go to your dashboard, right?
I thought they closed that down and no one cared.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody cared, but, they're probably sticking with their guns.
I guess I'm watching this on.
Here's the thing. If YouTube got rid of all the stuff that nobody cared about, Susan Wojcicki wouldn't have a job. Hate to be blunt, but that's not how YouTube operates. Oh, is the camera just Dad right now? I should probably switch that. And fade. Look at us. Look, my hair isn't even that good this time. Is my hair ever good? Would you say my hair is ever acceptable, Dad, for the cast?
Of course.
Just wondering. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
This is why I don't want him wandering around.
Well, that's what he's going to do, Calvin.
Well, why do you think we have Micah here? To keep pugs.
That's what he's going to do. Okay? He will not just
we need
sit.
a wall. Trump, where you at?
Come here. Come here. You come here with me. There you go. There you
Now Jamie's gonna harass him. I'm also gonna post the link to your thing on your Facebook. PugCast 19 currently live.
go. All right, Maury.
Did you know we have pugs?
What's the date?
It's the 25th.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, guys! Christmas is
Calm
only
down a
8
little
months
bit.
away. Time to bust out the harpsichord and play some Christmas songs.
So I'm going to lower this a little bit so you can get a little more movement on here.
The 25th. Well, no, it's Thursday.
All right. And I
No,
have
it's
to,
Thursday.
I have to kill my volume, right?
Why?
Speakers.
Yeah, just We do this every time.
Well, I didn't do it last time at all, believe it or not.
I mean, last time you didn't even have it playing, I think. Okay, well, now the top of your head's barely in frame.
Well, we got to get Norman on the frame.
Ideally, it would be zoomed out.
Here.
Yeah, there we go. That's movie magic, guys. And should I bring the other dog into here? The third pug? It's time for the third pug to enter, all right?
Well, yeah.
Third pug.
In a manner of
Third
speaking.
pug. Can you chant third pug for me? Do it.
Third pug.
You just gotta chant third
Oops.
pug 3 times, and then he shall appear.
Oh, Maury, guess what? I'm going to hand you a...
Dang, look at this fluff. Look at this fluff and fluff. Dang, you looking like a Q-tip.
Here, buddy.
Oh, do you like seeing the pugs on the screen,
There
Jamie?
you go.
Jamie, this is Jameson. He goes nuts for the cast at home. Doesn't he? Does he like attack the screen when Maury's up there?
All right, I'm in between trying to
Boy.
find the NFL draft, answering texts, and holding a pug. So everything is chaotic as normal.
Look at this, James.
Yes.
Look at him. This is our new pug.
Right, I just switched tabs so I can't see.
This is what happens when you order a pug from wish.com.
Hey, buddy, what are you doing? Well, Maury's settled down. He hasn't eaten that treat I gave him yet. I'm not sure what's going on. We are on, right?
Correct.
I assumed we were. So.
I mean, that's where the chat's coming from.
Mhm.
Unless the chat's just like posting randomly and they have no idea what's going on. There's just always like 6 people asking you theological questions you've already answered.
Jorge's question, because angelos, angel, was the stock word for supernatural being, like Elohim was in the Old Testament Hebrew Bible. Watcher is a Second Temple term. It's not used by all Second Temple writers. It's
Nope,
used
James,
by
stop.
Daniel, of course. But the stock vocabulary for Hebrew Bible was Elohim, it's generic. And the stock vocabulary in Second Temple, including the New Testament, is angelos. Basically, by the time you get to the New Testament, angelos, angel, that's the good guys, and daimonion, was used for the bad guys, even though daimonion is a neutral term. It's also a stock word for supernatural beings generally. But in the New Testament, it's in the plural. When it's in the plural, it's always of an evil being. So that's kind of standard use, like in Enoch and other things like that too. So it's pretty common. You would know that if you read my Angels book, which is one of the things I do in that book, is go through the vocabulary and how the vocabulary develops and shifts. Oh, let's see here. Mike's mic not on. Oh, well, that's probably because I don't have it pointed down at me. Because, I'm only doing 3 things at once here, so.
Man, it would really suck if you were a professional podcaster.
Well, nobody ever said that. That's why I don't do any of the
Audio stuff?
any of the technical stuff
Yeah.
at all. Anyway, to repeat the answer, angelos is stock vocabulary for supernatural beings in the Second Temple period, just like Elohim is in the Hebrew Bible. Angelos in Second Temple literature is used of the good guys. Daimonion is used of the bad guys, even though daimonion is a neutral term. Daimon, it just refers to a supernatural being. But in the New Testament, which uses it in the plural, it's always the bad guys, which is pretty consistent with Second Temple stuff. But if you've read my book, Angels, you would know the answer to that question, because that's what I do in the Angels book. One of the things, I go through all the vocabulary and how it evolves and shifts and whatnot. Ken asks, when's the Demons book out? Oh, not a good question. I have good news and bad news. The bad news first. The bad news is that Lexham has put off the Demons book until early 2020. The good news is they're doing that because I will have another book out in September that will precede the Demons book. But again, I can't tell you what that one's about. All I can say is it has something to do with supernatural stuff in pop culture. That's very broad, vague, and ambiguous, which is why I've been instructed to say it that way. So when it gets to July, I think they'll probably feel, sometime in the summer, they'll feel better about me talking about it. So that's the good news and the bad news. Yep. A couple people are saying hello, so hello. Komodo dragon walking around. I don't know which
Norman.
To which
It was Norman. That's at the very beginning.
Can you cover Mori? He's shivering again.
Yeah.
He shivers everywhere. So Dan says love the Fringe Pop 321 episode with Carl. Yeah, we had fun doing that.
Which one's Carl?
Carl Tykrib. You didn't meet him. But yeah, Carl's a good guy.
Coexist, both of you, please. I'm begging you. Just yeet down.
Dan asked about the Genesis 11 Bible Project thing. No, they understand the threefold rebellion thing, and there are 6 videos scheduled from the Bible Project that I consulted on, and I would imagine, and I can't remember all of the specifics of what we brainstormed. It was months ago, or what the order is, but the short answer is no, they'll do something else with it. So just stay tuned. I mean, these are what, 4 or 5 minute videos that are aimed at a very general audience. So they're not going to get into any kind of depth in these videos, nor could they. But Tim understands the content thoroughly and has given it the thumbs up and bought into it and finds it really helpful. So I'd say just stay tuned for the other ones that come along. Oh, let's see here.
Hello, my fellow pugs.
I assume my mic's better because I have it pointed at me now. So let's see here. Yeah, okay. We should have the volume fixed by now. All right, good. I'm getting some notes to that effect. Ken, I have no idea about the pre-pub thing with the Demons book. I don't know what they're going to do there. Oh, really? That Ken says I have one of your books on pre-pub order that's about a TV show. Let me just, I got to take a look at that. Did they actually do that? I mean, if they did that, then it's no longer a secret here. Let me just go up and find that here. Oh, let's see here. Boy, if they did that, they didn't tell me about it. Calvin, while I'm looking this, do you have anything to say, update on your job?
Job's going well. I hate it when people ask me because
I know. It's
like
just
the only
popped
thing I
in
ever
my
say
head.
is, okay. Viewers at home, this is my job update, and until I mention my job, you can safely assume this is how it's going to be forever.
Okay.
It's doing good, getting money. Done.
Okay.
That's it.
That's Calvin's first real job, and that's pretty much how you assess those things. So, they did put it on pre-pub. Well, then why would they tell me not to talk about it? See, now I'm torn. Like, do I mention something now on the pub? Okay, this will be breaking news on the PugCast. If they put it on pre-pub, then, it's their problem if they didn't want me to talk about it. The book that's coming out in September, the title is The World Turned Upside Down, Finding the Gospel in Stranger Things. So I have written a book about Stranger Things. This is sort of a sub, genre thing, because there are books like Finding God in the Lord of the Rings, Finding God in the Hobbit, all that kind of stuff. So, Adrena says I'm always so out of the loop. Well, I can't be in the loop if no one talks to me, Okay, Norman, hang on, buddy. Hey, what do you want, dude? Oh, he wants to be over with Jamie. Okay. Should I put him up and see what he does? What do you think he'll do?
I think he'll.
Let's try it.
You know what? All right.
Let's try it.
See
what
how
he
this
does.
goes.
Yes, we have the third dog
Norman?
here,
No,
and so
not
Norman is anywhere from thrilled to freaked out. So, so it's a book about Stranger Things, and it, honestly, I'm real happy with it. It's about the length of Supernatural, about 30,000 words. I don't think for a minute that the creators of Stranger Things are doing anything intentionally theological, but that's kind of what makes it neat, because it's just really good storytelling, and it has all of the important archetypes in it throughout the series. It's really well done, and that makes it easy to look at as story. And what I'm trying to do in the book is map it over to the supernatural narrative of Scripture. Like just the whole storyline. And I used my little book, What Does God Want?, to help me think about it, in that way. And of course, supernatural. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. They want me to. We decided not to release it in July when season 3 drops. Because they want me to binge watch season 3 and then add a chapter on season 3. The book's already through editorial. It's ready to go. We just have to wait for the 3rd season to air, and then our family has it scheduled to binge watch, and then I'm going to take a week to produce that final chapter, and then that'll go into editorial as well. So since they wanted to do that, and I wanted to do it too when they pitched the idea, that is getting moved into the publication schedule, which forces in their minds. And I tried to argue for them to release The Demons like now, and then September would be Stranger Things, but they didn't want to do that. So that'll push Demons back to early 2020. Let's see here. What's the title again? The title is The World Turned Upside Down, Finding the Gospel in Stranger Things. So it's available pre-pub on Logos. It is not, well, maybe I shouldn't say it because they didn't tell me it was pre-pubbed. I mean, I doubt that it's listed for pre-order on Amazon yet, but who knows? Yeah, they're not gonna. Ken, I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they're gonna look for a simultaneous release of the Logos version and the print. So at least that would kind of make most sense to me. Okay, Norman, you're not being too bad here, so I'm gonna reward you. Here. There you go.
I'm just gonna borrow this for a shot real quick.
Come on. Go ahead, Maury. You're allowed to have it. All right. There you go. I have other treats down here. Product placement time right here.
Did they
Chicken
pay for
bites.
it, or is you just doing this pro bono?
This is just me doing a product placement. This is not a sponsor,
Okay, I'll cut to it.
unfortunately.
So what are these?
Grain-free chicken bites. And look, now you should have a camera on the dogs because their attention is like riveted to this bag. Like they know what it is. So, boy, figures. Show you a bag of treats and then we get all sorts of reaction. Let's see if they'll actually eat one. Here. Hand this to Calvin. Got to do it over here.
Both my hands are occupied. I'm trying to get a shot of Jamie without ruining your witness
Maury,
protection program.
I can't see Maury's head around Norman's butt here, so.
All right, go for it.
There you go.
Are you gonna eat?
No,
Norman, that's your butt. Get out of
This
there.
is what Maury does. Maury has to inspect and sniff and
Can you
lick
get Norman out of
and
the
touch,
way?
like everything that you
No,
hand him.
Dad, Norman's ruining the shot.
And Norman's just like diving on it, no matter what it is. Okay, I want to give Jamie some treats here. So somebody needs to grab these because Norman's gonna lunge at them. Hey, right here, Normie.
Dang, that was fast.
No, Norman just inhales everything, and Maury's got to like caress it and sniff it, and it's that discerning palate that he has.
Norman is an average consumer, and Maury is Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah. So, that one book will be out in September. The other one will be out early 2020. Interesting. Somebody's asking here about the sequel to The Portent. I'm into 3 books actually, and some of you will know because I said something. Did I say something on my? See, now I don't even know what I put on my own website here. So I guess I guess Drina, my wife, is right. I'm just sort of the last person to know anything, even if it's on my own site. Let me go up and look at my website to see if I put anything here. Did I put anything on there? Hey, no, I didn't. I don't. Well, let me hold on a second.
This is our audio equipment, by the way. Norman has been walking over it constantly. He's gonna unplug both microphones.
No, I didn't.
I'm pretty sure he already did, actually.
Okay, well, some of you will know that I'm going to have a job change. I'm going to be leaving Logos. And that was something that, what's today? Today's Thursday. I think, was it this Monday or last Monday that I signed to do? It was last Monday. So, yeah, the news of this has leaked out because Logos has announced it internally. My daughter has put at least one thing on social media, Instagram, and I think my wife Drina has as well. But I thought I had put something on my website, and I guess I was just planning to do that. But what I'm going to do is, look at all the. If you watch the PugCast, look at all the breaking news you get here. You get news of Mike's Stranger Things book before anybody else. And now you get news of Mike's job change before I put anything on my website. So the really short version of this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a video that'll probably be 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, explaining this. But I'm only going to do that closer to the time when my last day at Logos will be. I will be there through the end of May, and then I will be with the new entity June 1st, but we won't be moving until after Christmas. So here's the short version. Yeah, Norman is getting so big. The pugs like to dress alike. Their favorite. Yeah, somebody's commenting on the collars. Yeah.
Was that on purpose or accident?
No, it was on purpose.
Okay,
so
because I've never noticed it.
yeah. So here's the short
earbuds
version
and
of
he projected them 'cause
again
they
this
weren't
breaking
AirPods.
news announcement that I will say a whole lot more about later. Again, on my website. The short version is that I'm getting my own school. Like, really. There's a very large church in Florida. I spoke there in January. I have had, an ongoing discussion, sort of relationship with the pastor there for a year. This began last April. Just something that literally just dropped out of the ether. So again, trying to keep the details to a minimum. It's a very large church. It's what we would call a mega church. 20,000 members, lots of campuses, both in Florida, one other in the U.S., and then several overseas. And the leader of this, it's the only church he's ever pastored. He started it when, right after college, in his living room 20 some years ago. And he has, again, for lack of a better way to put it, we're going to try to get him on the podcast so that he can express this better than I can. But he had sort of an epiphany, an awakening, an experience. He refers to it as his encounter. He is not a charismatic. He is not a NAR person. He's just a sort of a mainstream evangelical guy that doesn't have seminary training, didn't have Bible college or anything like that, just had a heart to do ministry and jumped into the ministry 20 years ago. And the result of it is this huge network of churches. But because of this experience that he had, he got in contact with me, and the nutshell version is we have got to start teaching our people something. We have got to start doing what the church is supposed to be doing. And his solution to that is my content. He's ordered thousands of copies of Supernatural for his congregation. He's had me out, one time already. I'm going to be out again this summer. And So I'm going to have an audience to teach to of 20,000 in theory. Plus, they're going to open this to the public. They are going to start. It's not about granting degrees. It's not going to be accredited. We're not handing out, degrees. We're not worried about seat time and page count and all the accreditation hoopla, the dog and pony show. He wants to open it up to his church and the public in Jacksonville, and everybody's figuring we're going to start with 500 students out of the gate. So my task is to teach through my content in a year. Can I do that? And I can. And then a second year would be, I would already planning on adding it, just stuff that I care about. So my new title will be the Executive Director of the School of Ministry at Celebration Church in Jacksonville, Florida. So my content will be the focus of that. He has the infrastructure, and believe me, he has the will to take the content internationally. I mean, just to make it go global. All of the translations that we've been producing at McLeod, they're all going to get used and dispersed. I mean, it's just it's kind of an amazing thing, really. I mean, I've been waiting to have this conversation with somebody that I did know, like in my little orbit, people that I know through the years who are pastoring and whatnot, and I've never had it. So along comes this guy, and there's a whole set of providential circumstances that has led to this, and that's what I'll do the video on. But the content is going to go global. The focus is not the American church, though we hope that people will, because of the reach of this place, that others will get on board and have a similar awakening as far as the content goes. But the focus is really the church in other parts of the world, again, dispensing the content that McLeod has been able to produce, basically because people like you guys listening that have donated to the thing. 25 translations, 3,000 a pop. I mean, that's $75,000, but now it's going to go all over the world because it's there, and we have scalability now. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be the professor, the creator of the curriculum, the dean, or whatever you want to, but my official title is the executive director. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I love Logos. I've enjoyed it. We get to do meaningful things every day we go into work. But it's kind of a no-brainer that this will scale the content that you guys are used to on the podcast and in my books. This won't just take it up a notch. It'll take it up a number of notches. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Yes, we will still do Naked Bible. See, I'll put it this way. I feel like this change is going to unleash me. I'm going to do Naked Bible. They want me to do all my podcasting that I'm doing. They want me to do Fringe Pop. And most of all, they want me to write. So when our school is in place, when I create the curriculum, which I'm going to have to do between June and February is when they're going to start it. My job will then be to teach the courses, as they come up, rotate through the courses, and the rest of the time I devote to stuff I care about, writing, podcasting, video, all of it. All of it stays in place. So yeah, it's a big deal, but I'll be creating a video closer to the end of May, my time at Logos, just to sort of sit down and kind of take people through the story. You didn't really get the story here, but you got the kind of the rationale for it anyway. Oh, let's see here. Oh, I don't think Trey's going to be moving to Florida. He wouldn't need to because he lives in Texas now. The school will be in Jacksonville. That will be the location. Yes. Yes, lots of work. Yep, I can use previous content. I mean, I just basically what I need to think about is how to deliver my content, get through it in 1 or 2 nights a week, cycle through essentially supernatural and unseen realm kind of stuff. And then do that same thing with lots of other topics that I care about. And I'll explain the topical approach again when I create the video. So yeah, it's a big deal. Did we lose a dog? Oh, we lost Jamie. Okay.
Sorry. Micah has a delayed version of it, and he did something. I went to see how it looked on the stream. It was
Okay.
really funny.
All right. Look at Maury's got the perfect pug pose now. Okay. Yeah, I should say the thing I'm looking forward to most about the move is the road trip with the pugs. 3,000 miles with the pugs. Listening to books and watching the pugs sit there on the front seat or wherever they're going to be sitting. Yep, we'll be moving after Christmas, and that will be, my full-time employment down there. So, there's just lots of everything's going to continue. It's just I'm living at a different place, and I get my own school. And again, it'll give me more time to write too. I get to pick what I want to write about now.
Can't wait for those glorious Florida summers.
And I'll own the content too, which is important because then I can give it away. I don't have to worry about entanglements there. I'll have rights to everything. Like I don't have rights now to translate Unseen Realm. And that's a normal publisher-writer relationship. That I can't give. I got asked again this week. Can we translate Unseen Realm into XYZ language? And it's like, I'm not the person that can give you approval for that. You have to talk to Lexham. So, Mori is the godfather. Yeah. If any of you live in Jacksonville, it will be. I'm looking forward to it. I think everybody will at least like the sun. The heat will take some getting used to. So, but I'm from the East Coast, so I know what that's like. But my kids have never. They wouldn't remember summers in Wisconsin, which could be really humid but not as hot. So, yeah, we've heard lots of great things about Jacksonville. Question about the Unseen Realm documentary. They're doing it. I've already been filmed for it. We still have some other talking head slots to film. I know one person. One of two I think we need. I know one is coming in, I think at the end of May, maybe early June. But yeah, they're working on it. I mean, that's going to happen. Somebody asking again about the Demons book. That we talked about that about, I don't know, 10 minutes earlier. So the short version is Demons book will be out in early 2020 because it's getting moved ahead because I have a book, Finding the Gospel and Stranger Things, coming out in September. So I didn't know until tonight that I could talk about that. So, I come here to learn things about what I'm doing. If any of you are keeping up with the NFL draft, by the way, I'm going to take another look here. I'm wearing my Packers hat here. Because my fantasy baseball team for the Naked Bible League is terrible. So my better sport is football. Okay, Packers trade up. Look, I just turned and there's the Packers. Packers deal the number 30 overall pick and 2 fourth-round selections to the Seahawks. Let's see, and they take Darnell Savage, a safety. That's good. They needed that. I'm happy with the first 2 picks. All right, just taking a look here.
Can I give a hot take real quick?
Yep, go ahead.
Football is kind of uninteresting, and Seahawks fans are insufferable.
Yep, most of them are. Yeah. Oh, the Eagles are on the clock. So, Drina, if you're watching this, the Eagles are on the clock. I think this is their first pick at 22. Yes, it's their first pick. So that's my wife's team. She likes Nick Foles, and guess what? We're moving to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville now has Nick Foles, so she's happy. Boy, they should take Montez Sweat or Sweet. Oh boy, DK Metcalf is on. They should take him. The Eagles could get a really good player here, But anyway, if you're not into football, sorry for that spasm, but. Like I said, I'm better at this. Of course, Mori is my general manager for the fantasy league.
That would explain the state it's in.
I won 2 years ago.
Oh.
See, now my method for picking is Mori sits beside me or he sleeps beside me during the draft. And when Mori twitches, I pick the guy that's on the board when Mori twitches.
And how's that worked out?
Well, last year I didn't do so well, but the year before I won. I won the whole league. No, it's I do look for Mori twitching, but anyway. Oh, let's see here. We have not talked about Luz yet, but there's something here about ancient aliens. Who brought up ancient aliens? You know, this is interesting. Guess what, Calvin? Guess what happened to me again for the 5th time?
What?
Okay, can you do the math here? It has something to do with ancient aliens. Email, 5th time. I got asked to be on Ancient Aliens again for the 5th time.
Do you get paid to be on it?
I'm not going to be on it.
No, I mean, how exactly would you get paid?
I don't think you get paid.
Oh, well.
But it's like I don't trust these people.
Well, if it was me, I would take the money and be so like safe about it that all my footage is unusable.
Well, that's what happened to my earlier History Channel experience. But
I'll say yes every time, and none of my stuff will be put in, but I'll still get money. That would be my plan.
Well, they don't pay anything. But
do you think if I became super outspoken about ancient aliens, they'd email me?
If you had a YouTube following, they would.
Can we?
See that?
Okay,
I'm hoping
question.
listeners learn something from this. But go ahead.
Okay, question. Can we create a YouTube channel for me, right? And just artificially inflate it with subscribers, and I'll just talk about the most insane ancient alien
I don't know
stuff
how to.
imaginable, right? And then
All you need to do is make fake videos.
Okay, but here's the thing.
And then put them online, and people will think they're real.
The end goal is to get on ancient aliens.
Make a bunch of fake videos. Watch Captain Disillusionment.
Captain Disillusion's great.
I know, but he shows you how to do it.
Yeah.
It's just the people who watch the stuff on YouTube don't know that it's faked, but he shows you how to do it. So you could watch him.
Yeah, but like the kinds of people who like legitimately like believe this stuff. Not like believe in it, but like believe every single video.
No, I know it's a religion to them. Yeah.
It's a great stand-up bit by Joe Rogan when he's talking about one of his like Sasquatch hunting like acquaintances.
Yeah.
And the story's something along the lines of, so his friend was out in the woods and he heard a bullfrog in the bush. Mm-hmm. And whenever he'd walk, the bullfrog would start croaking. And then he got home and he realized, oh, that was just Bigfoot.
That was just Bigfoot, yeah.
Like that's what it is to these people. Like even when it's not Bigfoot, it's still Bigfoot. There's no way to convince them otherwise.
Yeah, no, I will not be wearing a Jags hat. I'm gonna be a Packers fan, but I don't have anything against the Jags. I drafted Leonard Fournette last year, and he was hurt half the time. But other than that, anyway, yeah, I was asked again to be on Ancient Aliens. So you would think, here's the teaching point here. You would think that after 5 times, they would know what my answer is going to be. But they don't. They just ignore that. And here's the kicker. I should get the email. Let me get the email. I just got it this afternoon. So I want to read you this email. Again, more breaking news here on the PugCast. Mike's email from the Ancient Aliens crowd. I should be able to find this pretty quickly. Let's see here. Come on. All right, did I delete it or what did I? Okay, I can just look for sent because I did send them the reply. Let's see here. Okay, here is the email from the Ancient Aliens. I guess this is I don't know what the job title is. Associate producer. Hi, Michael. I'm working on the documentary series Ancient Aliens for the History Channel, and my producer, I'll skip the name, is very interested in connecting to talk more about your book, Realm of the Unseen.
Is there anything about aliens in that book?
No, but they get the book title wrong. It's Unseen Realm. So how much research can you possibly be doing if you can't go to Amazon and get the title of the book.
I think this just like speaks volumes about like the differences between me and you, because like if I wrote a book, right, and they got the name wrong and asked for me to talk about it, I would 100% go, and the whole time
Look.
I would just say the title of the book as many times as possible. like every time I quote it. So on page 17 of instead of my book. So on page 17 of The Unseen Realm, one of the things I decided to include in The Unseen Realm was this passage. And when I first read it 2 years ago, I knew this exact sentence went through my head. Oh my gosh, I'm going to put this in my book called The Unseen Realm. And I just never stopped talking like that. And I'd probably say it like 300 times, and the footage would be unusable.
They're either going to, right. You either have to make it so that you waste their money, which isn't a bad idea. Okay. But you still risk that they would take something from it and then make you look like you believe this stuff, because that's what they did to everybody else when I did the History Channel interview 10 years ago. That's exactly what they did.
Here's the thing.
So I don't trust them with a 10-foot pole.
Because if they did that, it's almost better if they do that, and here's why. Because if you record the entire interview, right, and they end up misquoting you, you can take the undoctored thing, right, and you could probably give it to one of the many successful like anti-conspiracy theory YouTube channels. Be like, hey,
I know,
here's the undoctored interview.
Guy Malone did that.
If you want an excuse to make fun of these people, here it is. You have my blessing.
Right.
And then,
but there are thousands.
No. Yeah, and then that guy will make a hugely successful video about it. Probably like the Armored Skeptic or something. He'll make a great video about it, right? And then that'll funnel more people to you because now you're associated with him. It is the best outcome for them to do that.
Look, Guy Malone did that.
When?
He took the 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago. Like, I know, but I'm just telling you.
For it. There's a huge.
I wrote this whole thing up on my website. If people want to find out my History Channel experience, Google drmsh.com, Mike Heiser History Channel censored. Okay,
yeah.
and you're going to find it. So, but they did that with Guy, and Guy insisted that they let him audio tape his interview, which they did, which kind of surprised me, but they did. And so he kept that and had a transcript made. And then when the actual show came out, he had the audio from that transcribed, and he literally put them up side by side on his website.
Yeah.
And you could see how they took part of one sentence and spliced it with another part of a sentence to make him say stuff that he wasn't saying at all.
Yeah, because
so I don't want that to happen.
The better it is if you send it to like someone who's popular, and then they make a great video about
it. I know,
it.
but see, that exists now. So
yeah, that exists now. So in this current era, it's a legitimately okay thing to do.
Oh,
is there a crane fly there?
I don't trust him. I trust him as far as I can throw him.
Oh.
They're not interested in any content at all. I mean, if you can't even get the title of the book right.
But I trust them enough for me to waste their money.
Oh.
I think that's just like a pivotal difference between you and me.
Well, I don't know. I think
there's two types of people in this world.
Probably
former
expect
cult leaders and Bible scholars.
You just want to be a cult leader. But now wait a minute. If you succeed in being a cult leader, then I might get into the Illuminati.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I've been trying all these years.
Yeah, but like the cult isn't a thing anymore. I destroyed it on purpose.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just always looking for a way to get in.
Okay, there's someone in Linden. I'm not going to say his name. Actually, no, in Bellingham, right? But one of my friends from theater, she went on a Tinder date with this guy from one of my other plays, right? And afterwards, she came to me and she said, so this guy was super bizarre. He asked me if he wanted to join the cult he was starting.
What was that?
That was Jamie, right?
Oh, that's a Jamie whimper.
But like, is it bad that I legitimately just want to try this cult out and just see what it's like?
Okay, you have. I was gonna say you've got to get the pugs because
they're on camera right now.
Yeah, I know, but it's like this conversation just put them out like a light. I mean, but now they're awake. Okay.
Yeah, but like. Yeah. You know, that's the kind of person I am. I would willingly join cults just to see what the heck is going on.
Oh, let's see. I know somebody else like that too. Yeah, they can't get the name of your book right, but their editing skills are top notch. Yeah, unless you count basically deliberately distorting, what somebody says. I mean that, and making it look like they said it. Well, I guess that's talent. I think the whole thing is just. They cannot be trusted. To me, that's like stating the obvious anyway. Oh, let's see here. Okay, I just skipped a little too much here. Maybe the Illuminati are waiting to join you to get access to Mori. That's a thought.
Speaking
That's
of
a thought.
thoughts, they're doing some crazy, powerful brain stuff right now.
Look, that's like the Vulcan mind meld right there. Their heads were touching. Mori is transferring more of his deep thoughts into Norman.
It's like when you back your stuff up to the cloud. That's exactly what was going on.
Maury's backing up his deep thoughts to the cloud. Oh boy, yeah, isn't that great? Let's see here.
Okay, wait, hold on. There's a question. I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
But this is from SATS, and they ask, does Mike have any experience with cults or any weird groups? Other than Ancient Aliens.
Not other than just people showing up at my door.
Okay,
so,
okay.
no.
Well, do you have any Dort stories?
We had a Jehovah's Witness come to the house last week, but I couldn't talk to them.
I should have been here.
But I told him, I said, come back in a week or so. I'll have time because I'll do what I did with the last one. I'll take them to a number of Old Testament passages that undermine their theology. That are not in their script. I feel bad because it's like I feel like I'm a loaded gun. When they come to the door, but I try to treat them nicely. There was a day when I wouldn't have done that, but again, maybe they'll be open to being teachable or something like that.
Is it bad that like when I interact with people out in public, whether it's like salesmen or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
I never behave how I do here. I always have like a theater character to portray myself as,
Mm-hmm.
right? For example, remember when the first time I went to California, I bought that like director's slate? And when people would try to sell us tours, I'd slam it shut and say cut. It's like stuff like that I just do on a very regular basis. And it's not even like as a joke. It's just a very real part of me.
Mm-hmm.
I was at... Micah, do you think the Taco Bell story is worth telling? Or is that like a... Okay, it's not very long, but I went to the restroom at Taco Bell, right?
I mean, we're just drawn in right away, Calvin.
Yeah, but... Okay, right? This is kind of weird, but it's a good story. And
Why would it be weird if it starts with a trip to the restroom?
Anyway.
Go ahead.
I walk in, and as I'm walking in, another gentleman passes me, and he leaves, right? So I go into the stall, because this is late at night, and I have the whole place to myself. And
you're going to remember, Mom is listening.
Yeah. The second I walk in, I don't have to go anymore, so I just sit down and like look at Facebook. I just look at Facebook for like 10 minutes.
Well, that'll make you want to go.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And I opened the door, and the guy who walked out just like standing outside. He's standing like with his arms crossed, and he's looking at me. And I look back at him, and I don't say anything. And I turn my back to him and start washing my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And then he says...
Then he disappeared?
No, he didn't disappear. He said something like... What was the opener? It was something like... So he just like sat in there for 10 minutes and did nothing? And I'm taken aback because he's willingly talking to me.
Right. He wants to know what... Yeah. He wants to know if your bowels work. Like that's really not a normal question.
Yeah. So of course I respond, and I decide that I'm going to be I'm going to be an active participant in this conversation. So I say, "Oh, well, I just didn't need to." And then he said, "Well, like, do you have like an issue?" Like, it's like in my head, like, what do you mean? And he's like, well,
like, why does this guy want information
I don't
about
know.
your bodily functions?
I don't know. But then he's like, what was the next bit? Because this is layers to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then he's like, well, I mean, if you can't go when anyone's around, I'll just leave. And then I said, well, I didn't know you were here to begin with. I was just watching Facebook. I start washing my hands, right? And then I turn to him, still washing him, and he's standing between me and the paper towel dispenser, and I don't want to go near him. So I want to get him to leave ASAP. Right?
You could have used his shirt to dry your hands.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that would have been the most Chad thing to do. To wipe my wet hands on this guy's shirt. This guy, have you seen like 6ix9ine, like all these SoundCloud rappers who are like extravagantly dressed, but they also look homeless.
Calvin,
He was dressed
you're
like
asking
that.
me if I've seen rappers?
Yeah,
No.
but like pictures of them, right?
No.
Oh, well, basically super baggy clothing, pants are at the knees, but no skin is showing because his sweatshirt is like as long as the deficit of his pants, right? and he's wearing like the most he's wearing the most blinged out cross necklace I've ever seen, and he just won't shut up. Like we're having this conversation for like 3 minutes straight, and eventually I just approach him. I reach around, grab the paper towels, and I'm like, okay, thanks, bye, and I leave, and I ran. I got my food and I ran. I thought this guy was gonna keep talking to me, and I was so scared. Yeah, that was it.
Well, that's encouraging.
But like
My faith in humanity is restored.
but these things just happen whenever I leave the house. Like all of the weird people in Linden and Bellingham just instantly flock around me. Like I'm not gonna do another one. All you need to know is that it happened again today, but even
All right.
worse.
Well, somebody asked here, what are my thoughts on the Dead Sea Scrolls calendar? It makes total sense. According to the Jewish scholar David Nyman, the modern Jewish calendar comes from Babylon. That's actually not true. The Hebrew Bible has a calendar that's different than the Dead Sea Scrolls calendar. Their calendar didn't come from Babylon. And we know this because the place names of that calendar are still in the Hebrew Bible, but the place names do change with Babylonian names, but the calendar itself is a different story. But that circumvents the question. The Dead Sea Scrolls calendar is a mathematical calendar. It is not an astronomical calendar. And yeah, I do find it kind of intriguing as to how it works out. But, you know, I'm not somebody who lived at Qumran, so I'm not going to I wouldn't cut myself off like the people from Qumran did with the Pharisees and go out and live in the desert because they're using a calendar I don't like or prefer. I think that would be taking it a little bit too seriously, but yeah, it's actually really interesting, especially in some of the ways it could sort of map over to eschatological questions. Let's just put it that way. So I think it's worth taking a look at and getting into. It's very interesting, actually. Let's see here. I don't have any thoughts about a mass conversion to Christianity in Palestine. As some people take, all Israel will be saved as indicative of that. That's possible, but there are other interpretations of that language that are possible. We did a whole episode on that on the podcast, by the way.
Hey, Dad, you want to see something cool?
Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Just finished The Portent. Thought Facade and Portent were great books. Oh, and this takes me back to how I even got into the Florida thing. So basically, I'm into 3 books right now. The novel's one of them. And I probably will have to make a choice. I may be able to do 2 of the 3 by the end of the year. So which 2 is it going to be? So I got to think about that. Maybe Mori is the brain and Norman is a black Pinky. Like Pink, you know what Pinky and the Brain is, right?
Yeah,
Calvin?
I've seen it.
Okay.
You've shown it to me.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, next subject, please. Oh my, that's good.
Hey, Dad, want to see something neat?
Yeah,
This bird.
yeah.
It's dead.
Well, we've put the pugs to sleep again, so mission accomplished. I know this is riveting video for the pugs anyway. But this is, if you want to see how Maury and Norman spend at least part of every day, you're looking at it right now. They nap
Dad.
together. So.
Can we make the Calvin tells an uncomfortable story about interactions with strangers irregular on this?
That would be a real treat. Let me tell you.
Because I've got a lot.
Boy. Oh boy, the Eagles took an offensive tackle. Actually, that's a good pick. If they don't want Carson Wentz to keep getting hurt, if they can convince him to stop running, that would be a good idea to get a good offensive line there. So again, I'm just looking ahead here at the draft. I don't watch college football, but I do watch the draft. So, let's see here. There was something else I wanted to bring up. We talked about the ancient aliens thing. The Florida thing, I wasn't intending to. Well, no, I was going to say something about that. I wasn't going to say anything about Stranger
our
Things.
relatives
But
running for office or something?
no,
I thought Mori was campaigning for presidency.
no.
That's all I wanted to say.
Well, Mori would make a better candidate than a lot of the candidates in the race.
Mori would
I'll
be the
admit
first
that.
third-party candidate to win 3 times in a row.
Oh boy, why not? Did you hear a comedian got elected
Yeah, in
the Ukraine?
Yeah, in the Ukraine.
Yeah,
'Cause-
that would be
But
interesting.
okay, but here's the thing: wasn't like the show he was on about a comedian who became president?
Yes.
And then he's
so like he's like living his own
Yes.
show now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. Did you hear about that? It's crazy. I love
Yeah,
that.
that'll be fun.
What are his policies anyway? Does anyone know, or did he just like do it as a joke and then he won?
I haven't read enough about him. I don't know how intentional he was.
Is that like the Ukraine's like most successful thing? How like people in like Poland or whatever won't shut up about The Witcher because that's the only thing they have of worth, or like New Zealand with like
I don't know.
Lord of the Rings. Is that how it works, or is that like just a random property that
Yeah.
popular?
Derek asks, is there any scholarly literature to study the Dead Sea Scrolls calendar? Well, I'll answer that this way. How many inches of material do you want? That's another way of saying there is a voluminous amount of material on the calendar at Qumran. It's a major object of inquiry, and it's let me think. Is there anything more complicated than calendar stuff? Hebrew Bible and Qumran. If there is, I'm hard pressed to come up with something that's more dense than that. And one of the books I'm working on is this astral prophecy thing. It's been a putter project of mine. So there's just a pile of stuff on that. And I'm not making it up. It's really dense material. I mean, if you have a good background in astronomy, then there's a portion of it that would be easier to digest. And since that's not my background, it's hard for me to wade through a lot of that stuff. But just the textual stuff is, that's a big enough deal. So there's a lot. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I don't read that much fiction either, so they are managing fantasy. I'm not sure what the fantasy comment is about here too. Yeah, the Raiders drafted Josh Jacobs. Their first pick was kind of curious, but probably good, but there will be people who said they will say they could have done better there, but they still got Jacobs. Let's see here. You're trying to record their snoring. Yeah. I don't understand the question. Does it matter where Israel is located if a landmass was identified elsewhere? I just don't know what that means. No, James does not disagree with Paul. We did a whole series of podcasts on the book of Hebrews. I bet half a dozen of them were about faith and works. We also devoted one entire episode after the book of Hebrews to that question. And we got into, James as well there a little bit. So you could look those up on the podcast website. Derek, the question, it seems the Qumran community was stating that the lunar calendar was based on darkness and taught from the Watchers. Is a solar calendar biblically based on the sundial? No. The answer to the first one is sort of. You're kind of on the right page there, but not entirely. And the second one is no. The ancient Israelite calendar was both solar and lunar. It has elements of both. The system is drawn. I shouldn't say drawn, but it operates the same way as other ancient Near Eastern calendars work, because guess what? Everybody's looking at the same objects in the sky, the moon and the sun. So there's naturally going to be overlaps there. The Qumran calendar it has nothing to do with astronomy. It is mathematical. It's a 360-day calendar. Obviously, there are more days in a year than that. But they didn't care because they're doing math. And if you use a 360-day calendar, the reason they thought that was superior was beginning on day 4, when the celestial objects were created, their view was, and they're correct here, that if that's your first day of your calendar and you restrict it to 360 degrees, or not 360 degrees, 360 days, and you add 1 day in between each of the 90-day quadrants, so now you're up to 364, okay? And that's where they drew the line. If you do that with those 4 extra days added, every feast, every Sabbath, every festival, everything in the Israelite calendar always occurs at the same day. So they looked at every year at the same time. Okay, that's what I mean by same day. So they looked at that and thought it was mathematically perfect, and it is. And so they believed that was God's original calendar, because the perfection of it mathematically reflected the mind of God. So then you have to ask yourself, well, didn't they notice, the calendar slipping because they're missing a day and a quarter, like every year? And the answer is, yeah, they did know that. They knew that their calendar did not conform to the, boots on the ground experience of the seasons and, time and so on and so forth. But that misalignment they blamed on the watchers. So they don't blame the Pharisaical calendar or anything like that, or the Old Testament calendar, on the watchers. They think that the world sort of went out of sync at some point because of the incident with the watchers. So that's where they were at. And they wanted to insist to the Pharisees and the other communities in the first century that they should be ignoring the astronomy and using the 360 plus 4, 364-day calendar, because it's mathematically precise. And they thought that the Pharisees was a human-derived adjustment, because if you're familiar with this, periodically the Jewish calendar has to add an extra month, and to get they got to make additions and adjustments to for the date of Passover and all this kind of stuff. So that the people at Qumran looked at that and said, this calendar is something you're making up. It's a human derived thing. You should go back to the old 360 plus 4 and everything works out, and just ignore the astronomy. So they actually split from the Jerusalem temple over that. But anyway, it's getting a little into the woods there.
Just every time I sit down, the chair loudly creaks. I've been muting the mic.
Well, now he's snoring again.
Yeah,
I don't.
Well, when I get the microphone over there, ambush reporter mode, he doesn't want to snore.
No. Vincent, I don't know who James B. John is. I don't follow him on Twitter, so I have no idea about the paper that you're referring to. Oh, let's see. Yes, we're going to move to Jacksonville at the end of the year. We'll be doing that. Yeah, pugs snore. The pugs do a lot of that, actually.
At least 80% of the time. Even when they're awake, they're still snoring.
Yeah. Yeah, we think we'll like Jacksonville too. We're all we're looking forward to it.
Dad, what do you think of AirPods?
What's an AirPod?
Same.
What is that? What is it?
It's like
Are those the ear things like for the iPhone or?
Yeah, but they're cordless.
Okay. Yeah.
What do
Yeah.
you
Mom has them, right?
Oh, does she?
I think she has a set.
I didn't know we were suddenly rich.
Yeah, Derek, it's a complex question, but if you really wanted to get into it, read Roger Beckwith has a lengthy book on Judaism, Christianity, and calendar. and it will really get you into the weeds. So that's one. It's an older book, but it's really good. There have been more recent things out that factor in other Dead Sea Scroll material and other additional work since Beckwith wrote on calendar, and lots of journal articles. But Beckwith that's a pretty good place to start. And he has some really good journal articles too, relating to weeks of time and apocalyptic stuff and eschatological stuff, and talking about the Qumran calendar and their view of when the Messiah would come and all this kind of stuff. It's very interesting. But that book is a good place to start. Let's see. I moved to the Tampa area from Colorado last night. Absolutely love it. Yep. Yeah, I think the only adjustment will be for the family will be the humidity. But again, I was raised in that, so I don't think my adjustment will be that big of a deal. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, I don't know anything about church fathers and tongues. It's kind of interesting you bring this up because the latest issue of Themelios, that's Themelios. It's a scholarly journal. It's free online. Their last issue, which is a week old. So just type in Themelios and spiritual gifts. I think it's volume 44. The whole issue is devoted to this question, and I've already looked through a couple of the articles, one by Tom Schreiner and then somebody else that takes a non-cessationist view. But it's a good back and forth, and I know that in that set of articles they do, both sides get into church father stuff. So you might want to look for that because it's free. It won't cost you anything. And all of Themelios's issues, by the way, are available in Logos. You can go right where their website is. You can click on getting the Logos version and you just get it. So, well, Calvin, it's 8:15, so we're up on an hour. So it's time to wrap up. Do you have any other, no other bathroom stories, but do you have any other words of wisdom?
Did you see that long uncut shot and it transitioned seamlessly into the webcam angle? Watch out, Christopher Nolan. I'm coming for your
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening, watching. We got to wake up the pugs now, or at least wake up Mori. But we do that all the time anyway.
Norman did not
All right.
approve the AirPods. That's
Yeah.
what we learned.
Okay.
He's sticking with his guns.
Have you?
Bye.
Yep.